Hey, hey, hey.
Hello.
Zip.
You possibly have an email in your email box asking if we have class today.
Hold on, let me check. I'm replying as we speak.
You got new glasses?
I did. What do you think?
You're matching me.
Bought them from Warby Parker to make me smarter. Just doing some basic poses for y'all. Yeah, it's a little weird getting used to like the new prescription. Like everything is blurry over here for some reason, but they said it takes a couple weeks to get used to it. I thought the whole point of buying glasses was so that wasn't blurry anymore. But yes, I'm totally copying. Deshauna and I are twinning right now. We look so. It's a good thing you have headphones on because I wouldn't be able to tell us apart right now.
That's true.
All right, let's see here. All right, so actually, I got tied up most of the day today. I'm actually teaching at the tech school today, but doing grades and paperwork and stuff like that. So I did take an opportunity to go through everybody. Well, the people that took the quiz. I would say, I don't think Alex did it yet. I know Steve did some, but if you get a chance, Alex, make sure you go into Schoology and take the video and quiz for the Safe to Say, and then put down the topic that you're picking. And then that's an easy 150 points. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I forgot the quiz, my bad.
That's okay. Well, the whole thing
about
of it
anyway.
the whole thing of it is I'm trying to get points on the board for you. Because I had mentioned this yesterday a little bit that I can't believe it. Well, actually, is it Norristown? Mid-marks are this week, the 26th, the middle of the third marking period, which is pretty insane. So just so you're aware that that's the case. So I have a bunch of students right now that haven't submitted anything. So it technically looks like they're failing because they haven't submitted work. So if you get a chance, there's also, I sent it out a few weeks ago. It was the deconstructing a video. It was those 3 commercials of that had something to do with snow. That's an easy 50 points. So if you get a chance to do that. But yeah, there's plenty of stuff to start working on to, like I said, to get points on the board. But does anybody have questions on the project so far? Does everybody know what they're doing? I saw Steve, I saw yours. Josh, I saw yours. Deshauna, I went in today, and you'll actually see, I have to sync it all up, but I actually went in and graded your quizzes and your topic and all that other fun stuff. So.
Oh yeah, I did. I looked at it.
Cool. So, I mean, really, other than that, I want to just go over a little bit of the lectures that I put up here. Do I want to do that? Let me think. Did anybody start taking pictures yet? Or any for their posters and stuff? Okay. So I want to, you know what? Let's do that. Let's do something fun. I want to go over a couple of things real quick with the lectures, but let me start right here. Good afternoon, everyone. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time right now, even though we're in the first week of our project, I wanted to discuss a little bit about lectures. So I'm gonna jump in here and show you some of the stuff that I have going on. And I'm hoping, since some of you have already started on your projects, that, let me hit this button here. Hold on.
Oh yeah, weren't we supposed to have that quiz about history of cinematography?
Yes, I'm actually going to go and revisit that to dig a little bit more deeper into that and put the quiz together for that. I have it, but what happened was between when we had gotten the snow and then some schools had class and some didn't, and then it just went to the side. But I did create the quiz, but I'm going to go back into that, especially since probably jump back into it next week, especially because everybody should be taking some sort of image or photo for what they're trying to do for their posters or their video or whatever. Actually, I had 2 students in. I had 8 students in today that are actually working on video. They're all returning students, which is why they're here. they're all working on video PSA, public service announcement. So it was fun to watch them run around. And of course we had a fire drill. So everybody had to go outside, and then they ended up doing a fire drill as part of the video. But
Oh yeah, about that, the schedule with coming back for us virtual students, first years, are we going back because my sending school, they're going back in like April and our schedule's changing, so I wanted to know what that's gonna change.
so the best that I can tell you about this, actually, hold on, this is driving me nuts. I'm gonna move this curtain. Wow. I'm back. So to the best of my knowledge, and let me try and explain it as best as I can. Unfortunately, I'm not 100% sure. There was a meeting that we had last week with the staff discussing that starting in March all the way through April, that they plan to try and get every student back in. Now, the schedule could potentially change. Like, I don't know what the schedule is. Like, the difficult part for us is we have 4 schools to deal with. You know what I mean? So they have to kind of work this mojo of trying to make everything work within, the calendar and the day and who's here and what day. But the way the schedule is going to look, and I don't know what particular day you would be here, but it doesn't look like it's going to be any type like you're coming in every day for 2 hours. It looks like the way it's going to be is what we're currently doing with returning students, is that you would come here for 1 day for 5 hours or 6 hours, and you would come in once a week. And that would be to minimize COVID, have people walking around different rooms and things, which personally I think is pretty cool, because then we can do an entire project in 5 or 6 hours, you know what I mean? And be able to use the equipment. But I really don't have a better answer than that. I don't think, the thing is it changes so much. But the positive thing is that all the schools do intend sending students back, and I don't think any later than April. So we'll see how it goes from there. But if I hear anything, I will definitely let you know. The funny thing is, usually you'll hear about it before I do, because it's not exactly, they're not, sometimes the sending schools aren't as great getting information to us as they are getting them to the students and the parents. So, but if you hear anything, let me know. And if I hear anything, I'll let you know. But
Do that.
but it will be nice to have everybody in here. And that's kind of one of the things that I had brought up to everybody. I said, look, the 2 students I had come to that were here today, they're actually 2 new students from Upper Marion, and they're allowed to come in. And they didn't do any work last week, essentially. And I said, look, I had plans to do fun stuff today, but now you got to sit on your computers, which is what you should have been doing at home. So, for those, unfortunately, for those students that are probably excited to come here in March and April and haven't really done much, guess what they're going to be doing when they get here? Sitting on their butts like they should have been at home, doing all the schoolwork that they didn't do. But I don't even care. I'll just be happy to have people in here, to be honest with you.
Will
But
it be like an option?
it would be an option, yes. So, anything more than that, like I know some parents want their kids to come back, some of them don't, some are worried, some students don't want to come back, but their parents are, so it's a whole complicated thing. But whatever students that do feel safe and comfortable coming here are more than welcome. Once the invitation's given to you to come back, we've done a great job here at the school. Knock on wood, I don't think we've had any contact or any cases here, and we've been open since September. So hopefully it'll stay that way. So, but yeah, so other than that, you can see here, like I said before, you'll see this vocabulary. And hopefully some of these terms are starting to become a little bit more, you're remembering these words, because, as soon as you do any project, the first thing you do is you read, obviously read all the instructions, and that could be, talking to your client, like my name's Fred McCarthy and I'm the CEO of Safe to Say Something. The best thing you could do in the very beginning, well, I'll tell you what, let me ask you this question to those of you that are sitting here right now. If I'm going to come to you in a week and I belong to this company called Safe to Say and you've never heard of it, what would you do before now and next week?
ask you what you do?
This is before you even meet me. Like, let's say you're going to meet me on Monday.
No,
What
wait,
do you think you could do?
research the top.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Some people kind of take that for granted, but when, we were actually hiring teachers and staff here. And one of the first questions we asked is like, well, what do you know about our school? And some of them are like, oh, I don't know. I didn't look it up. But so it kind of shows a little ambition if you go on and say, yeah, I saw Safe to Say started in 2011 because of this. And, you're across the country, you have an app and a website and a phone number. So the best thing you could do before you meet a client is do research. Like if somebody came to me and said, hey, I'm a jeweler and I would love for you to build me a website so I could sell my jewelry. So the first thing I would do is I would go online and I would look at jewelers in the area or the big names like the ones you see on TV, Jared and K Jewelers. So you want to start to collect your research. And that's a very invaluable tool because you might start to see, let's say, for example, we stick with jewelry makers. And I look up 10 different websites and their colors all seem to be kind of a consistent, like black and white and gray, like elegant colors and gold and silver. So if you're going to build a website with pinks and purples, does it make sense? Maybe if it's jewelry for kids or something like that, it's good, but you may save yourself a considerable amount of time by doing your research. And that's, the first part is doing all your research because everybody's just so quick to jump on the computer and start designing something. So it's always good, to take that little bit of time and get to know your prospective client. But once you do kind of do that research, you move on to the first things here is, and some of you have had some experience with this, is you brainstorm, Safe to say I did my research. I'm going to brainstorm some ideas. I'm going to go into the, what to report section. I'm going to look at these 20 different words and I'm going to write 5 that I really like. That might be interesting to me. And then of those 5, you start to say, okay, I want to deal with, I won't remember these 5, but bullying, vandalism, theft, harassment, and depression. So out of those 5, okay, now I'm going to start to think some ideas. What kind of sketches can I come up with? And everybody always says, I don't know how to draw. It's okay. You really just want to, and I'll show you real quick here. If you look on my screen, I'll add another tab real quick and just type in, and everybody kind of cracks me up when they spend so much time on these. A thumbnail is a thumbnail. It's the size of your thumb or a little bit bigger. And you're starting to figure out how you're going to frame out your advertisement or your poster or your movie. It's different when it's a movie or a moving picture. It's called a storyboard. But you might say to yourself, well, how am I going to put this together? Where are my sketches going to be? Here's a war movie. What angle are they going to be standing at? But you could just as easily do this for your poster and say, I'm going to have somebody stand like this, somebody stand like that. I want to, so thumbnails can be these very rough and what they call gestural. Same thing here. This does not have to be an amazing drawing. It's literally just meant to get your point across and show positioning. And like I said, to camera angles. Some people go bananas and do these amazing thumbnail sketches. Hey, knock yourself out. But for the interest of what we're doing, these are some really good basic ways to get it done. Okay. So once you start that is your thumbnail sketch. Rough is when you go, so we had those 5 different terms and we did thumbnails. You're like, I really like the one for vandalism. Okay, so I'll pick vandalism. Then you're going to do what's called a rough sketch. A rough sketch is a much more, let me type that up and show you what that means. So a rough sketch is a little bit bigger and more involved. Okay. So you start to get more of the details in there, and it's thumbnails. You're literally spending 5 minutes or less on a sketch, or I'm sorry, not even, like a minute, 30 seconds. When you start getting into rough sketches, you can see here, you start to put in like perspective. You start to put in a little bit of shadow in there. You start to put in the depth to it, like I said before, the shadows and things. So the rough sketch is your attempt to really fill up that piece of paper with everything that you want to do. And then by the time you're done, you would move on to your final sketch. Okay. This is the one that you would present to your client. So as you can see, these final sketches have much more detail, shadow. This is a great example here. Okay. This is obviously right here, a thumbnail sketch on the right. Your rough sketch is on, sorry. I do not want an extended car warranty. All right. So once again, the picture on the right shows you the thumbnail. The picture on the left shows you the rough, and then the finished is in the middle. Okay. So it's just a way for you to kind of get your thoughts and ideas on that paper. Here's another good example here too of just, how you kind of go about that business of building upon your sketch. There's another great example. Okay. So now for this project, you didn't really need to go this crazy with it, but for the sense of teaching you about vocabulary and stuff, that's how you want to go with it. And who could tell me what a slogan is? Anyone? Alex, what's a slogan or a tagline?
I heard a slogan before. I
Okay.
actually don't remember. I heard somebody say this slogan.
Well, if you can't explain it, tell me a slogan that you've heard.
A special saying that made up of a few words help identify company, the brand.
Wow, good job looking that up, man. But yes, you are correct. So a slogan is what? Nike, just do it. Skittles, what's Skittles? Go ahead. You don't know Skittles?
Taste the rainbow.
Thank you. So there's a specific purpose to the advertisement that you're doing. Okay. Which is why I asked all of you to think about a slogan or a tagline that you're going to use for your social media template and your poster. Okay. So you got to make sure that you have that too. And really kind of think about it. And you just get a piece of paper, you write down 10 of them. Think about what sounds good. Some might be horrible, but the more and more you write, the more and more you're going to start to be creative and really start to kind of dive in and think about what it is that, your theme is going to be. So for example, like I said, if we pick the theme of vandalism, well, where's the vandalism taking place? Is it taking place at school? Is it taking place at a local park? And maybe it's a friend of yours who is out doing graffiti on the wall, and your slogan could be, I think I mentioned this the other day or something about bullying. Tag an adult before the police tag them or something like that. Just to try and think of some sort of a slogan that's going to match your theme. And then that's going to be in your poster. And then most posters that you see are going to have some sort of any advertising posters. Same thing with movies. You'll see a tag like Star Wars, one of the most famous movies of all time. Their tagline, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And that was on all their posters. So that's a good way to kind of draw people in. Like Nike, like I said, just do it. Or milk does the body good. There's so many of them out there. And it's good to do that. And then the last thing I'll kind of show you right now is kind of jumping into the creative process. Okay. We talked about it already. We talk about preparing. So you really want to kind of what they call, it's like taking a deep dive or whatever. So let's say I wanted to research somebody that was that owns a company that makes mountain bikes. And I've never ridden a mountain bike or don't care to in my entire life, although I do. Well, I don't know anything about mountain bikes. Does that mean I'm not qualified to make a website about mountain bikes? No, but you're going to have to spend some extra time doing the research, right? If Alex, somebody comes to him and says, well, we're Xbox, we want you to make us a really cool advertisement. He's like, sorry, man, I'm going to play PlayStation. Obviously, you're not going to say that because you want to get paid. So you go in, and we're fortunate enough now to have the internet and access to all this information, so we can prepare. So you really kind of just dive in and have a questionnaire in your head. Who is this company? What is their? We talked about target audience. Who knows what target audience is? Wake you up, Jamil. Do you know what a target audience is?
Yeah.
Heard?
It's a specific demographic of people that your video or whatever you're selling is targeted towards.
Man, that is completely correct and on point. Thank you, sir. So yes, so you have to figure out who your target audience is. And you know, once you start to do all that information, pick out your target audience, then you spend, you know, like I'll do with a client, I'll spend an hour or two or whatever, depending on the complexity of the client. I keep referring back to this. I have a friend of mine, he's an electrician, and he asked me to build a website and start doing some social media work for him. I know how to change an outlet and a ceiling fan, but that's about it. So I start to dig in and look up websites for electricians. What are the most common jobs that they do? Who do they do the jobs? Do they do work for commercial people? Do they do work for residential? So I'll take all that information and then I'm going to wait a day and kind of just let it kick around in my head. The funny thing is, I do some of my best thinking when I'm cutting the lawn or shoveling snow because you're just doing a physical activity and your brain's like, meh, you know, you're not really doing anything. And I have a big yard, so it takes me about an hour to cut the lawn. And I literally go out and start thinking ideas and things like that. So you let it sit in your head. And then after that, you look for that, what they call number 3, that insight, that aha moment. You're like, that's what I want to do. This is my theme. That's what I want to go with. Then you say to yourself, well, even though it's this great idea, is it accurate? Is it going to work? Can I pull it off? Is it appropriate for the client? And then this is the big part at the end when you elaborate. This is how you have to explain it to somebody. So when you're like, oh, allow me to elaborate about my idea. So a big thing is being able to translate your idea. So I'll cover that tomorrow because it's already 25 after. But to elaborate is you have, you know how sometimes somebody asks you a question, you're like, you know what, I do a really bad explaining it, but let me show it to you. Or, you know in your head what you're trying to say and people are like, what? So, you know, there are those moments, but when you elaborating is a pretty important tool. And there's a great video here if you have not watched it yet, 6 creative ways to brainstorm your ideas. And then I'll go a little bit into the next day on how you present your stuff. Okay. Because eventually when you get back in class, we're going to present these ideas. Okay. So
Are you going to put out some examples of how the poster is supposed to look like?
So I'm actually, like I said, so tomorrow I'm putting that playlist together. I'm doing those videos. So don't do anything until tomorrow, but I'm actually going to show you something real quick. Okay. For those of you that have 10 minutes, because I was messing around with the green screen and I took some photos. I thought you might enjoy these because I look pretty ridiculous in them. Okay. So I will jump here to Photoshop because there was a couple of good reasons why I started to look. How funny. Here's some pictures of the electrician that I'm doing work for. You know, he gives me these pictures of all the work that he does and I put them on the website and I clean them up for him. But let me jump to, I'll go to the downloads folder. I should have downloaded some images. Yep. So here they are. So I picked something on bullying or vandalism. You could use them for either. So I took pictures of me being ridiculous. And I started to say to myself, okay, well, I have these pictures here of me being angry. And what am I going to do with them? That's me being sad. I'm sad at myself because I yelled. So I took a bunch of little different angles here. Now, you know, it's like, well, how am I going to take this and do something? So let's say somebody's threatening you and somebody's angry. Okay. So I took a picture of myself on the green screen. Now, what type of environment do I want this to be in? So let's jump over to here and say somebody's bullying me at school. Okay. So you could do high school hallway. Okay. So now I have these pictures. I go to images and I want to make sure I get a really good image. Okay. So you go to tools, you go to size, and then you go to large. Okay. You always want. Now it's definitely going to narrow your choices down, but you're going to get really good high quality images. Okay. So usually when someone is bullying another person, there's usually no one else around, or there's a couple kids. So it's a group. Now, I'm going to make this just a little bit easier and pick, you know, scroll down and I'll pick a hallway and let's go with this one because I like the angle. I kind of think it looks kind of cool. Um, and this is something that I could probably work with. So I'm going to take this image, right? I'm going to see if I can find the big image behind it. Okay. So I'm using Photoshop, but like I said, when I create the playlist, I'll show you how to use Google Draw. And like I said, Microsoft Word. Now I'm going to jump in a little bit with Photoshop. So I'm going to click and drag this image over here. Okay. Now, as you can see, it's a pretty big difference, but I can resize it and start to think about what it is that I want to do. Okay. Now, my poster, so here's the issue. If I want my poster to be vertical, well, what's going to happen with this picture? Not really sure yet. So I'm just kind of brainstorming my idea on here digitally so y'all can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to go back here and take myself off this green background. Okay. Now, like I said, Photoshop has some special tools that you are able to do that with. Okay.
Use the magic wand and like literally just
Yep.
cut out the background.
Yeah, you
make it
totally could.
transparent.
So I will get into this stuff more down the road, but yes, it's called the magic wand tool. And you know, the beautiful thing about Photoshop too, everybody, is you can go into Photoshop and literally, if I click here and I hover over the magic wand tool right here, eventually it will show up what that tool does. And so hold on, let me deselect that. So if you mouse over something long enough, I may have mine turned off, but it'll tell you what the actual tool is, okay? And you can always go to the help section and go to Photoshop help. And you can go, here's some really good tutorials they even give you, get to know what layers are. And then here's the part that I'm using right now is how to use selections. And they walk you through this whole, it's crazy. They walk you through this whole entire tutorial on how to take all these fruits and stuff and make this background. So if you're ready to kind of jump ahead, you can do that. And it actually created a document. So I'm going to go in here with my magic wand tool and you can see that it doesn't take all of the color properly. So you have to use a different amount of tools. And like I said, I'll get into this later, but I'll kind of show you what I mean here. Whoops. Just for the sake of trying to speed things up a little bit.
I just use the erase tool because I don't have the magic wand. So I just use the erase tool to edit my
What, in
photos.
Photoshop?
Yeah, I use Photoshop to edit my images for the project. And I just use the erasing tool.
You could, but if you look over here too, any one of these tools with that little arrow means when you click on it, it expands to more tools. So just because there's 15 tools right here, there's way more than that. But you're right, and I'll show you what you're talking about. But
Are you trying to cut out yourself?
Yep. So I'm doing it
I
real.
use the object, either the object selection tool if I'm trying to get it done fast, or you could use like the pen tool. That's a good
Yep.
one.
See, here's the beautiful thing, and this is something we'll talk more about. And I'm really glad you both said that. Everybody uses Photoshop differently. It's funny because I'm using the magic wand because that was literally one of the first tools that ever came with Photoshop. And some of these newer tools, I'm not as comfortable or familiar with. So I fall back on the old stuff, but it's really cool that everybody does it different ways. The pen tool is hands down the best way, but it takes the longest. So for the purpose of what I'm showing you here, I can use a magic wand, hit delete. Hold on one sec. So I can actually take out that background and now show it right here. Okay. So here I am in this background and you can see there's still a little bit of the green and I would spend some time fixing it. My shirt's a little messed up, but actually Deshauna had a great idea. Here's the eraser tool. So I could go in a little bit closer and use a nice soft tool and kind of thin out the background and look how well that does blending me in. Now I'm doing a real messy job on it right now, but I'm just trying to get my point across here where I can kind of show you how this blends me in and you're like, oh, wow, it looks like you're standing there. Then you could put a shadow in. There's all kinds of crazy stuff you could do. So we can zoom out a little bit and say, well, I want this image to be an 11 by 17 poster. Well, now you have to start thinking about where's your text going to go. So I can move this down a little bit and then I can put in my, so this is the whole point of me showing you this is showing how you can use Google Images along with the pictures that you took to make your poster. Okay. So it's, you know, obviously you may not have access to a school or a vandalized building or anything, and I wouldn't want you going there. So find your images and put it together. So the next step, and I know it's 1:35, so I'll give me a couple more minutes and I'll show you. But let's say, like I said, for example, I want this to be 11 by 17. I'm going to put this in real quick. So here's 11:17. Now, if you notice, I was still able to pretty much salvage this image. It's not really hurting anything that I cut off some of the lockers. But that's stuff you got to keep in mind. You know, most posters are like this. You know, I always joke if the poster's this way, it looks like a calendar. And that's not always the case. You are more than welcome to do a horizontal or a vertical poster. Vertical means portrait, horizontal means landscape. That's an easy way to kind of remember the two. Now let me go back to, you know, my picture. So let me pick, this one might work a little bit better because I'm a little bit more tightly cropped. So I'm going to go like this. And I'm going to get rid of some of that green like before. Not too bad. And then I'm going to jump back. Where's that at? And put it in here. So now I can start to say, okay, I'll put this down here. And now, well, that's actually a pretty good thing. Because why? Because you're going to have to put in something that says safe to say in your slogan. So you don't want this to take up the whole image because where are you going to put it? Plus, you don't want to see my big old face on there like that. So, you know, you could put it here. Okay. And then we can jump to back over to the internet. And it's always good to look at posters too, you know, that already exist that are out there. And I'll show you something real quick too. So let me go to images and find safe to say. And I like this logo. So why not take that, right? I'll take this, drag it over to here, and it's great. It's great. It's out of the way, right? So I can actually get rid of that white background. Spend a little bit of time on it. Okay. Now look, I'm not expecting everybody to have this level, you know, but I'm trying to show you the features. And this is when we start really getting into Photoshop about what I'm talking about. And then you can put your slogan right here. Okay. So I know I just threw a lot of stuff at you, but does this make sense? Because when you go to make your poster, you have to figure out what are your elements and how are things going to fit. If I take this big picture of myself and it fills the whole frame, well, where are you going to put your type? You know, where are you going to put your slogan? And then, you know, but the nice thing is with Photoshop is you can start to drag things over and figure out your placement. So you could put this here, you know, here's the app. Maybe I don't like it here, I'll move it here. Maybe I'll put it down here. Maybe I'll put it over there. So once you have all your elements on, that's when you start having fun and you start moving things around. And, you know, do I want to take this and, you know, tilt it a little bit, you know, make it look like it's a poster on the wall. I don't like that, obviously, but I'm just trying to show you that there's different ways to kind of, you know, mess around and have some fun with it. But there's some really cool ways that you could put this here and just, you know, your slogan could be, you know, would be a good slogan. Yeah. Hold on. Don't be bullied by a bully. This is a terrible slogan, but it's all I can literally think of right now. So I'm going to make that type way bigger because you obviously can't read it. So this is where my type would be, right? And you can go even bigger. So does anybody notice anything about, this slogan, what I did? What do we think? Do we like it? Do we not like it?
The color
Like-
is a little bit off.
Kind of
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's very busy, right? It's hard to read. Red on blue is not easy to look at. So now you have to kind of start thinking to yourself, well, maybe if I do all caps, obviously it's bigger. And then you go, oh, well, now I could maybe fit this over here because I just stretched the type and check it out. It kind of fits a little better there, but I still don't like the color. So now you can, you can start going around messing, taking a look at some colors. That's not terrible. That's not great. But eventually you could kind of get to that point. So do you see what I did? I actually see if I could pick the color from the safe to say and match up their colors. Okay, because that would be a kind of a cool way to do that. It's still a little hard to read, but you could go move me down a little bit. But see the lockers back here? I could go in and use these tools like this darken stuff. So check this out. Maybe I could darken these lockers and make it a little bit easier to read.
I was gonna say you could even like put like a stroke over it.
Yeah, you could. Or you could put a stroke around it, which Jamil's saying where you could actually put a colored line around it. Or let's say you don't want to go crazy, you could just draw and put a box behind it. Let's say we want to use that other color of that blue. And now I just did a little bit, but let's say I want to do a whole 100%. But I like this, the fact that I can see some of the background, but if I want 100%, you could see the difference, and that's not great. So I could go edit and then fill this with color, and I could do a percentage. So why don't we do 40%? So that actually works okay because it still shows some of the lockers back there, but now the pink gets a little bit lost. So it's kind of funny if you think about it. Posters are not as easy as they would appear to be to do. Or any type of design, really. You start, especially being in this program, you start to appreciate how stuff is made. Now, this isn't too bad, okay, for a 5 or 10 minute little demonstration, but that kind of meets the requirements of the project. Now, I'm not a big fan of this space here, so maybe we could put the phone number, download the app, and put a QR code, and that's essentially how you have your poster. Does that make sense? Cool.
Are we supposed to put like the number, the mobile phone number, and the
Yep.
website,
Yep.
and on every image?
Not on, well, for the poster. Okay.
For the overall poster, yeah,
Yeah.
but like on every image you put on the poster, do you have to add that? Okay.
So you can see right here where it says mobile app safe to say, you're just putting that on your poster once. So I actually have the logo, I have the phone number, and I have the website. I have all the information that I asked you for in one little easy thing here. So it depends on how you want to do it. You could type the web address down here, but I like using this, and I think I put this in the stock image folder for you guys too. But this meets the need of the assignment. But I would put something here that says, I would probably take this. So let's say, so you're just trying to do this like call to action, you know what I mean? So you're trying to tell everybody, that they should use this app because it can change people's lives and really help out. Okay. I'm not going to mess with the colors like I did on the other one, but y'all get the point. And I would make this obviously smaller.
And in our own slogan, do we have to put that on every image too, or can we just do that once, just like the other one?
For the poster, you're doing it once. Are you talking about the template?
Yeah, I'm thinking about the template because
So I'm going to show you that. Don't do the template until tomorrow because yes, on those pictures on the because it's already 1:45. But I'll show you tomorrow that with that template, you're going to put your slogan on each one of those pictures. Okay. The poster needs all three. Okay. So, because don't forget, let me jump real quick because you have that really nice confused face. So let me show you that right here. So if we go to the assignment, right? Darn it. Marketing campaign. And it's actually funny. I do have reference material that was done from students last year, so I'll show you that. So let's say, I'll do it real quick. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to make a screenshot real quick. So I'm going to take this and this. Hold on. Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off. Okay. Dang it. Hold on. Stand by. So let's say I want to use this here. Okay. And then I'm going to go to the template. I'm going to open this up and I'll take one more minute and I'm just going to kind of show you what I'm talking about. Open this up. And I'm going to drag this here. So here's me. Here's my picture. Okay, so there's my, beginning part. I'm going to close these real quick just to get them out of the way. But if you notice, so for example, this works really well as a square, okay? And I want to show you here. I'm going to take this. And not that I want it all over my face, but you could kind of show it like this. And like I said, I don't have a whole ton of time to show you right now. But you would lay it out a couple different ways. So if you notice for this particular image, this would work good right here, right? So then you have to say to yourself, well, this picture is not going to work right here, right? Because it's just either going to be my face or my eyes. So now you look at some of those other pictures that you might have took, like this one here. This is more of a vertical or a horizontal view. That would probably work well right here. See what I mean? And then you'll make that, and I'll show you how to make that all fit within the box. So it's all about trying to make this all happen the proper way. And hold on.
So does it have to fit in the box?
Yes, like this. Now, like I said, I'm trying to do this really quick. So it's a lot of it you can do with cropping. You see what I mean? That works right there. And then once again, you could take this and say, well, I have this nice long banner now. And I can do the whole thing like this. Is this starting to make sense?
Yeah, that actually really helped me. Now I know what I gotta do.
Yeah, and you know what? And the sad, like I said, I apologize because I was going to try and get to this a little bit sooner, but I got kind of tied up with a few other things that I got stuck doing. But let me just do the last but not least part. See what picture I can use here. Okay. So this here might work. Let's try this image. It's going to be ridiculously big picture, but I can probably stretch it out a little bit. And then once again, and trust me, the way I'm showing you this right now is not really the way I would do it, but I'm just trying to get it done as quickly as I can. All right. So this actually kind of works because you still see my angry eyeballs in there. You know what I mean? And my fist. And then you could put this, sorry. Over the fist or right here. Okay. So in this, once again, I would move that over a little bit and make it all fit, but it starts to make sense because now if you really think about it, right? I'm going to stop sharing now, but if you really think about it, if you go in and start looking at phones and the advertisements that you get, you might see that same advertisement look different on Twitter, look different on Instagram, look different on Snapchat, look different on, on websites. So if you go to any given website, you can go and look at a banner, and then later it's squished a different way. So all you're really doing is maybe taking a few different pictures. And like I said, I'll give you a good example. I'll put this presentation I just did for you. I'll put it online today, obviously, when we're done talking. But then I'll also make a really nice professional looking one tomorrow for you to look at. But I always end up doing, whenever I do projects like this for y'all, I always do a good finished example of what it should look like. But since this is a new program, I don't have, I have to make them of stuff that I make. But once you're in class, it's so much easier to show you the stuff. So hopefully that'll be a reality soon. But yes, so if you're a little bit confused on it, my bad. But hopefully this will kind of clear things up and you can go back and refer to this again later. So sorry I kept you all late, but I really appreciate it. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this a little bit. And we're going to do a whole lot more of this stuff now that we're getting everything figured out. And you can see me making more faces, when I'm angry and depressed and all that fun stuff. So that's it. So if you have questions, let me know. Please go in and make sure you take that quiz and video based on Safe to Say. Fill out the topic. It's 5 questions. What's your topic? Why'd you pick it? What are you going to use? What's your slogan? That's 50 points. And then there's that deconstructing a commercial, which is in the marking period 3 folder. If you do those 3 things, you get 200 points. That's like a project. So get it done. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all very much. And I will show you more cool stuff tomorrow.